behind the cloak. And if you stay in the mist, you gon' be soaked. So listen up, cause this hair of the dog, what's real, what ain't? Is this the fog or smog? Cause there's a difference when you breathe it in. So don't let the corporate media take you for a spin. This that morning show, they put you in the know. So I hope that you ready, cause all we do is go, go, go. Yeah, come get your info, you gon' be like, whoa. Hair of the dog, we bout that, ayy. We in the zone, we out here, yeah. Spitting the facts.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hair of the Dog. I am Andy Kennedy, and it is Friday, or as my host calls it, fuck it Friday. We are having a lovely morning in the rain this morning in Canada, and I am buoyed by the fact that it is warmer here than in a number of southern United States. The other positive thing about having a steady, pretty good downfall is that I call it the dog shit dissolving rain that's accumulated all winter. Right, makes it a little safer to walk in the backyard again, which is kind of nice. I'm having a bit of an issue this morning as the crew that arrived at my house to almost 2 weeks later clean up the broken glass in my yard has arrived in the rainstorm with a generator and a shop vac. And they are going to shop vac my lawn. So apparently, I guess they're planning on going to be here a while. Regardless of that, though, we have an awesome show for you today, as always. And that starts with the introduction of my lovely and talented co-host, Ms. Carrie Barber. Good morning, Carrie.
Hey, Andy, good morning. Good morning. For those of you who don't know why Andy's yard needs to be shot back, he had this a massive accident in his front yard. He was not involved, someone else was. So in Canada, apparently they have cleanup crews that will come and shop back your lawn. That's amazing.
Well, yes, except that if you asked me, that might not be the best way to do it with a single shop vac and a generator going over a 75-foot by 40-foot area with tiny little shards of glass everywhere. Apparently, when I went out to talk to the gentleman that came to do this, they were given this huge truck that typically goes around and sucks up leaves and debris out of ditches. And that's what they were originally going to use, except that would have relieved my front yard of lawn.
They'd just taken everything.
So when I talked to the guy said, you know, we're not going to get even half of this glass this way. And I'm looking at him saying, well, duh. At least it could be worse. It could be me trying to do it. So these guys suggested that when they're done and most of the glass is still existing on my yard, that I call the township and that they send a crew out to take the first few layers of dirt off of that entire area and resod the entire thing.
That sounds excellent. I love it.
Sure, it sounds good. It might make sense since that's the only way to get it up. I've never had this problem before.
Right there. It was cold outside.
Well,
okay. All right, come on. Let's get it together. Today's Friday. So really anything can happen, but we can't go off the rails just yet. We do have some really important things to talk about. So let's get after it, Andy.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Okay, so good morning. Welcome to Friday. And Mike, thanks for joining this morning. It is Friday, and I know you're struggling this morning. I see it. I feel you on it. I am so hyped up on caffeine right now. So just ride the wave this morning. So if it's your first time tuning in, We are live, we are interactive, and if you type in the chat, we will see it. So be kind, be snarky, tell us a joke, whatever you want. We'll read your comment on air, and we want you to join in this conversation. We have an awesome guest today who is coming back. But first, there are two stories that we really need to get to this morning to get this out of the way. First up today, 3 p.m., I think that's Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern is a rally for Amazon workers in Alabama. If you hadn't heard, they are trying to unionize at that facility, that Amazon facility in Alabama. So kudos. And Senator Sanders and Killer Mike will be there to support the workers, to promote the union there and what a union can do for workers. I would strongly encourage anyone who doesn't know what unions do for workers. It is one of the purest forms of democracy we still have left in this country. You can run to be an officer in your union. You can run to fulfill any type of seat, and it's local. You are right there. Your constituents are your coworkers, and you help negotiate for better working conditions if there's an issue. And boy, at Amazon, like we've seen the whole Twitter thing about the pee bottles. Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's the only way that you can threaten to remove your labor from the capitalists, right? It's the only leverage workers really have to get any kind of advancement in society right now. And the oligarchs and the neoliberal capitalists have done a marvelous job of vilifying unions to the point of making them basically teethless.
Yes. Yeah, and particularly like the best example right now is teachers union in Florida. They are pretty much a coffee clutch because of regulations and laws drawn against teachers. So we see the effect of it. But hey, good morning, Sherry. She's joining Mike in our chat this morning. Come on, everybody, get in it. But if you want to support this particular effort, you don't have to be in Alabama. Senator Sanders is going to live stream it. So join in that and show your solidarity with workers at the Amazon facility in Alabama. So that was first up. Second, we got to get to Georgia because Georgia once again. Oh,
you can go. I'll stay here.
Okay, so here's what's going on in Georgia. So Georgia had made headlines a couple weeks ago where we saw after the special election where you had Democrats, oh my God, get elected in Georgia and actually make sure that the Senate right now in Congress, so we go from state to federal, that it's a 50-50 split with Vice President Kamala Harris. She would be the tiebreaker. So Georgia didn't like that. Not Georgia, but Georgia Republicans didn't like that. So they quickly, hastily drafted a couple different bills, and then they reconciled those bills, put one through. So Governor Kemp signed it yesterday. And I put
in the bathroom.
With the door closed, armed guards. Yeah, so what actually happened on that one was while he was signing the bill, doing a live stream, the doors were closed, and there were protesters out led by a couple of the Democratic state reps. One of them was Representative Park Cannon, and she didn't like that it was behind closed doors, so she wanted those doors open. And you could see the video of her knocking on the door after being warned a couple times. If she just followed the officer's direction, she wouldn't have been arrested. No, she knocked on the door. She got arrested for that. Andy, why is that now a crime for knocking on the door?
Well, didn't we see people in Portland getting arrested for shaking a fence?
Yeah. And then
violence against a thing.
Right. But so she committed violence against the door. Actually, I think she was charged with obstruction of, well, here's the irony, it was like obstruction of a proceeding of which she is a member of that. But yeah, so I guess if you filibuster, that's an obstruction, or no, that's procedural. Anyway, so it was all convoluted and it was all performative. Here is the point that I want people to get here. And Mike, you can weigh in on this one. Tell me if I'm wrong. All right. So you have this bill that the media is, by the media, I mean corporate media, is calling it, the bill is reportedly allowing a state takeover of local elections after last year's close presidential race and primary. So that's the statement that I really take issue with, allowing state takeover a local election. First, elections are handled by the state, and the officer within the state, officers within the state who are overseeing a responsible part of their core job is making sure these elections happen is your county clerk, right? So when you start to peel back this rule, these most of it are guidelines and minimums that the state has imposed. So people are gonna, head explode, going, oh my gosh, she's siding with Republicans. No, I'm really reading the bill and what it does. And I understand how elections actually are run. And I want you to understand it too. So what this bill does is it no longer requires 2 Saturdays of early voting, just one, and you can or cannot do Sundays. It's up to your local clerk. It has voter ID requirements, which is bizarre for absentee ballots, because if I need an absentee ballot and I fill it out and I send it back to my clerk, my county clerk, they check to make sure that it's me, the signature matches. So why do I need an ID? That's silly. It's ridiculous. So bills like this rely upon your ignorance as a voter of how elections actually work. And if you are in Georgia and you are seriously concerned, and it's not just Georgia, Utah did it, and I think Arkansas has another one. If you are overly concerned about elections and getting access to voting, then the office you should probably be paying attention to is your county clerk. So if you consider yourself a Democrat or a Green Party or Libertarian or Republican, maybe that's the office that you pay attention to. And if you don't have a candidate ready to run, find one. And so I posted a link here to Georgia's County Clerks Association, where they outline exactly what the duties of the clerk are and what the requirements are to fill that role. And they're really very minimal, right? If you're over 18 and you can read and write, you could be a clerk. So this is the point that I really wanted to drive home. When you see all of this, in my mind, performative response to bills like this, maybe you pay attention to your county clerk. And in my experience, after living in Illinois, if your party, particularly the Democratic Party, is not supporting the county clerk candidate, or they're not putting up a county clerk, you need to get rid of your leadership. Absolutely, because there is no office more important in your local elections than your county clerk. And if, in my case, my Democratic Party was like, nah, we like the Republican. Oh my God, we're losing polling locations. Yeah, that's how you know your leadership are really Republicans in blue jumpsuits. So you need to sweep them out and get rid of them. So that is my rant on all of this election bullshit. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So oh hey, now we got Jeffrey. Jeffrey's wide awake. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Well, just because Jeffrey's up doesn't mean he's wide awake.
No, true. Jeffrey says, I am awake. He says, am I awake? Or did everyone else think Dr. Dre was on our show today? Well, we do have a Dre. I don't think he's a doctor, but someday, maybe. So without further ado, this is a guest that we had on before. We loved him. He's just so adorable. I love young journalists because we want to encourage this. I hope to see a long career out of this particular gentleman. He's from Brooklyn, New York. And so, of course, we love the accent too. So but let's just bring him on. Dre, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So happy to have you back, and love seeing the work that you're putting out. These are they're very simple, low production, but the content, I think, is really what has value, right? So this is why I really like following your channel. I did post a link to his channel, so like and subscribe, show him some love, because in particular, you put out this video about Cuomo. Now you live in New York, so you are like inundated with Cuomo news headlines daily. So I know that this is a subject.
You think he likes being in the headlines, Gary?
Probably not.
Maybe.
Not
Yeah.
By the way, Dre, I just wanted to say that Carrie, the way Carrie described you there when you were introduced, I like you. I think you do good work. But if anybody asks me to describe you, I'm not going to say adorable. Okay, just so you know.
Right now, I'm not trying to diminish Dre at all. It's Friday, and that's the mom in me coming out. Like, oh, he's adorable, and he's so smart. He's so smart. So I apologize. You are a professional. You are a grown ass man, and do your thing, Dre.
Thank you.
So let's get into it about Cuomo. So Cuomo now has what, seven women who have come out and accused him of inappropriate comments or touching or, outright harassment. So what's your take on 7?
So the last time I checked, I believe the number was 9.
Oh goodness, I missed 2. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of funny because like every day now I just type in Andrew Cuomo, check if there's a new scandal, and there always is. But the thing that really annoys me about how Cuomo is being covered, like I understand, covering the sexual harassment, the whole Me Too movement that liberals said they cared about at one point, but a lot of liberals are now making excuses for Cuomo, but that's another story. But what's more important is the whole nursing home scandal, how he put mom and grandpa back sick with COVID because he's taking money from the nursing home industry. That's very rarely being covered in the media. While the sexual assault and harassment allegations are important, but the worst thing he did is allegedly kiss someone, which is not cool, but it's still much less worse than actually sentencing seniors to die. So that's what's really frustrating me about the whole coverage with Cuomo. And
yeah, absolutely. And it also means that, if they're going to emphasize this part against that part, he can always use, well, it's still way less than Trump. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. So do you think that not to diminish once again the allegations that have come out about him, but let's diminish the allegations because sexual harassment in the context of people dying, it is a diminished complaint. But yet here we're seeing all of the representatives in Congress and local that represent New York. That's why they're asking him to resign, not because of putting grandma and grandpa at risk. And it wasn't just grandma and grandpa. Let's take a step back here. Andy, you and I covered this early in the pandemic. Anybody who was moved from the hospital of any age was put into a nursing home, a closed facility with grandma and grandpa. So of course this was going to happen. But what is your take then, Dre, on your representative in Brooklyn saying that he should step down because of these sexual harassment allegations?
He's completely ignoring the more important story of the nursing home scandal. Like every representative, including some of the national representatives like Chuck Schumer, AOC, they're now calling for him to step down because of sexual harassment allegations, which, it's something, but it's not more important than what's going on in a nursing home. And it also feels like they're somewhat piling on, but some of the scandals are just complete nonsense. I'm not talking about the sexual harassment, but I think the Tappan Zee Bridge, they said that it is not structurally sound at first, like it was reported in the media, and then it came out that it is actually structurally sound. So there's some people that, they want to defend Cuomo because he's not Trump. So this is going to give them ammo that say, oh, look, this scandal is nonsense. So maybe the other scandals are nonsense. So just report on the nursing home thing all day, every day, and people would be outraged. But don't know about that. I know that because like there were comments under my video, people are saying, hey, like, it's not that serious. He's not Donald Trump. And I'm like, the whole COVID thing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it, because everyone kept saying Orange Man bad. Now Orange Man's not there. So I do think you're right on this. And that's what I loved about your video. When you covered this particular story, you kept coming back to what was truly important. And now, I think you mentioned it, they have a new strain that is mutated just for New York.
Yeah.
So you guys are about to get hit again by
Yeah,
all.
which is apparently a new strain that has come from the old new strain, which is to be 117 strain that came out of the UK that is now responsible for 50% of the new cases. So there.
Wow, way to go, New York. So it makes
But you
sense.
know what they say about viruses: if you could make it there.
And yeah, I mean, okay, thank you, Andy. So I think you're right, that this is largely performative outrage. So Dre, what would you like to see have happen here? I think that they're asking him to step down over the Me Too thing, except that we have criminal, and I think criminal liability is still on the table here in New
Yeah.
York.
Well,
So
he fudged the report of the nursing home deaths and made it seem like half of what it was. So he should, I believe right now he's being investigated by the FBI for this. So there should be a full investigation, and the outcome should determine whether he should face any criminal charges.
okay, I think that's fair enough. Fair enough. So good take on it. So let's get into a little bit my favorite hypocrisy, the Biden White House, who for whatever brilliance decided to terminate staffers who at any point admitted to marijuana use at any point, right? So I don't remember the exact number of how many people were dismissed. So do you think that that was just an excuse? Like, I don't like what you're wearing today, therefore we're going to fire you? Or do you think that the Biden administration truly is upset about somebody with a spliff 10 years ago?
It could be a bit of both, but Joe Biden is definitely the ultimate drug warrior, seeing that he bragged about writing the crime bill. The biggest irony is, I'm sure most people know that Kamala Harris admitted to smoking weed, and she said she is listening to Tupac while she is in college smoking weed. And the funny thing about Tupac wasn't out yet, so maybe it was something else as much.
Or maybe she had some really, really good weed.
Yeah.
Actually, I think she was listening to Pink Floyd's The Wall.
There you go. It had to be. She was just totally gone. Surreal.
Is there anybody out there?
Nice. Exactly. So, Dre, what's your take on this? You've got a VP who admitted to smoking, who's sitting there. Obviously, she's elected. Can't censure her, but you can take it out on. It's almost like I'm mad at you, Dre, so I'm going to take it out on the dog, right?
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. But if you are in the White House advising Biden and he's now had these people terminated, what's the next move?
He needs to bring all of them back immediately, because that's complete nonsense that she is going to face she shouldn't face consequences, because no one should face any consequences for using drugs. If anything, like, you're using the drug that you're having difficulty with, there should be rehabilitation. I forget the country, which is sad because I did a 20-page report on this a few years ago. They have something called harm reduction, where if you're addicted to any drug that you're going to put into a facility where you can get help if you like, they give you the drug so you can use it in a safe way, and they help like wean you off of the drug. So that's the way you address the drug issue if someone's addicted. But if someone's struggling with it, but in terms of marijuana, it's not something that is addictive that can kill you. So why is anybody being punished for that? And if someone should be punished, it should be Kamala Harris, even though it's not going to happen. So since you can't punish Kamala Harris, bring back all of those staffers, every single one. There's no reason that anyone should be punished for that. And release all nonviolent drug offenders.
Thank you. So how do you feel?
I love the idea that she is now going to be teaming up with Bill Clinton. Remember the guy that didn't inhale?
Right. She's going to show him how to do it.
She's probably going to, she's going to show him.
Yeah, she'll get her little blue.
It's the economy, stupid.
That's exactly right. And I was telling my husband that today would be a really good day to just go ahead and pack a bowl and light up on this show talking about Kamala. And
you wouldn't be the first.
No.
You remember our friend of the show, Jen Perlman, who did a quick video in her backyard in a lounge chair that was was smoking weed and saying, "Who the hell wanted to work for Biden anyways?"
Yeah, I remember that. That was good.
And quite honestly, to further that point, I think that if you were forced to work for Biden, that may be the only way that you could do it.
True. True. Yeah, get your mind right. So, all right, Dre, let me ask you this question. This is a loaded question about welfare queens and drug testing. So would you be in favor of testing the entire White House, Biden administration, and Congress for cocaine?
Oh.
Well, the hypocrisy that, because they're hypocrites, I would, but I'm generally not in favor of testing anyone for a job. I wouldn't be. So I'm in favor of it happening to them, but not for.
Well, they're taking our tax dollars. So to me, that's welfare, right? We should be testing them for cocaine. I mean, if we're going to test a forklift driver, why wouldn't we test members of Congress, right?
Yeah.
And the White House, mandatory once a week. Here's your cup, right?
And Wall Street tested.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, let's do it. So it's going to be interesting coming out of this particular drug policy, because everyone was so hopeful that the Biden administration would take marijuana in particular off of the schedule completely and just allow the states to make the decisions for themselves, as we do most things. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Poor Joe. So yeah. I wanted to make a joke about the falling up the steps, but I don't think I could top what's already out there.
Well, somebody posted that the tweet that didn't age well. That was right after Trump did it. At least our candidate can walk upstairs. No.
Right. Oh, we have Brandon who's wide awake this morning. Brandon, who is our resident bud tender. Of course, he's weighing in. He posts the best weed, always the best weed, and time traveling weed in reference to firing staffers who did it 10 years ago. And then he, of course, he's like, wake and bake. He said, "Wait, am I the only one I hear?" Yes, you are. So far, I think so far. And he says, "Say no to the blow." So good morning, Brandon. You're up bright and early. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, it's just one of those questions where it just makes no sense to take that tactic or prioritize that over everything that's going on, right? So, all right.
Unless you're in bed with the for-profit prison system, and then it makes a lot of sense.
There's that, Andy. There's that. So, so I don't know what's going on in New York. You guys have it legal for recreational as well as medical, right, Trey?
I just read a story yesterday that lawmakers are making a deal to make recreational use official in New York, but I didn't do enough research on the story.
Okay, no problem. So we'll get back to you on that one. And that will be the day where we tune in on Dre's living room and it's full of smoke.
Yeah.
It's legal now. So yeah, looking forward to that one. All right, so let's get to
Stay tuned for Dre's next YouTube video where he interviews Cheech and Chong.
Right. It's just a cardboard cutout, just lots of smoke. All right, so we joke, but Medicare for all. Let's get to that one real quick because we're talking in context of New York, one of the country, largest ports in the country. You guys are about to get hit with the New York variant. So this will be wave 3, I think, under COVID, and Medicare for all is still somehow a question. It's just been reintroduced by Pramila Jayapal yet again. So what's your take on this? Are we getting it? What are people saying in your neck of the woods?
So what frustrates me about it being reintroduced now, it should have been put in the COVID bill, the stimulus package, because it would have required 51 votes to pass through budget reconciliation, but being reintroduced now. So if any Democrat who is smart, they're going to vote for the Medicare for All Act simply because they know it can't pass. So what can happen is they all can vote for it and say, hey, we're in favor of Medicare for all, but it's the Republicans, the big bad Republicans. That's why we can't get anything done. Sorry. So if they would have done it during the budget reconciliation bill, the stimulus bill, what could have happened is we can actually have saw who is in favor of the Medicare for All Act and who isn't. So it's an official enemies list.
So you're talking about force the vote?
Yes, force the vote.
Oh, are you an advocate of forced vote? Because as I understand it, that is violence. I guess.
Oh.
Oh.
We're telling.
Right. Right.
So
when you
refer to Republicans, Dre, you're talking about Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema.
No, those are Democrats, Andy. Those are Democrats.
Are they?
Yes. Yes.
How can you tell?
I can't. Blue jumpsuit.
Do they have a tattoo?
No, no tattoo, no brand, no nothing, just a little D behind their name. So yeah, that's.
I thought the D stood for the Republican.
It does. It does.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna get a bunch of liberals chiming in now. Hold on, let me check the chat. So no, Dre, how can you possibly have been a supporter of force the vote? That's just, you're not a team player.
I don't see how anyone, especially the thing that annoys me is that people really need to understand if they're not an elected Democrat, they're not a part of the team. So when they win, they win. When we never win. I messed up my analogy, but we never win. The only people that win are the people that's officially part of the team, the people with money. So everybody should be in favor of holding their Democratic official accountable. I understand registered Democrat, but that's the same as being a person who's a fan of the Lakers. If the Lakers win, what do you actually get? Absolutely nothing.
I love the guy from Brooklyn picks on the Lakers. Come
Sure.
on, keep it fair.
I think it's kind of like if you're a baseball fan picking on the Yankees, right? They're kind of like the Dr. Evil of baseball, right? You have to be a Yankees, either you're a Yankees fan or you hate. There's no middle ground.
Right. That's like Cubs fan or Sox fan. There's an internal war going on there. So
same idea.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, good morning, David. David, thank you for joining us this morning. Oh, and he says Mets for life. Dave is really trying to start a fight this morning. Thank you, Dave.
Wow. Well, he's going to go there.
Right, not the Mets. Oh, my God. And hey, good morning, Pamela. Thanks for joining us. She says, good morning, Carrie, Andy, and Dre. So, all right, Dre, let's get back into Medicare for all. I know that we're just kind of wiling out this morning, but it's a serious topic, especially in this pandemic. So how do you see this playing out, right? We did a show earlier where we talked about all the committees now that are lined up and this really interesting notation on the bill in congress.gov that says the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, has carte blanche to walk this through on her, I forget the exact wording, but she can do whatever she wants with the scheduling of when this goes through, I think 5 or 6 committees. That's a long walk to get to a floor vote. So what's your take on it? Is this performative or are they serious this time?
Yeah, it's not going to get brought for a vote. Zero chance.
Wow. Okay.
Don't beat around the bush. Tell us how you feel, Trey.
So why do you say this?
Because she doesn't want to put any Democrats on record saying that they don't support it. She doesn't want to make them look bad.
Make them or herself?
Make herself and them look bad.
Okay. So we're talking about going into the midterms then with no Democrats on record. Do you think that that's a good strategy?
It's not, because at the very least, what would be a very smart strategy is have all them vote on it so they pretend that they support it and then have it fail in the Senate because they can't get 6 Republicans. Then they can all say, hey, we support the Medicare for All Act and the Republicans don't. So I don't even understand the strategy. It doesn't make any sense. Like, pretend that lie to people. That's what they do anyway.
Wait a second. Are you like a Democratic strategist? Because that was actually brilliant. And like, not that I'm surprised that it's coming out on our show, but how is it that you have a strategy better than what the squad has? This is so obvious, right? I mean, it just makes sense.
It is. The Democratic strategists are like the worst. Anything that is suggested, the Democrats elected should do the exact opposite because they're always wrong.
Well, I think a part of it, and we've said it here before, is the strategists who are in the ears of these politicians, they make money whether Democrats win or lose. You know, whether we live or die, they still get paid.
That's a very interesting point, Carrie. And I would even go so far as to say they really don't care if they win at all, because they, in fact, can make more money in opposition than they can in power.
Yeah. Well, it's much easier to complain. It's an easier narrative to say, like we had Orange Man bad, and to be railing against something, the resist. That is a much easier narrative to go about. And I hate to bring Twitter up as the litmus, but they went from cogent, rational messaging to now what we're calling, I guess, suffering porn, right? Tell me what Medicare will do for you. And I'll admit I got in on it and I'm like, you know what it will do. Quit with this. Just get it done. Why do we need to weigh in and beg for crumbs again?
Well, again, it's all about, we've talked about on a number of occasions that the only thing that makes it never going to happen in the lives of the current administration is that because it has the potential to cost their donors money. Okay? That's all it is. It's all about the cash.
Right. So I guess, Dre, in the spirit of AOC and Jayapal, what would Medicare for All mean for you?
Medicare for All would mean for me, I don't have to worry about, I have autoimmunity, so if my insurance decides not to cover me again, then I would be good.
Wait, again?
Yeah. In 2016, I had like really terrible issues with that's when it began to really flare up was in 2016, and I had to pay out of pocket.
Gosh.
Wow. Now wait, 2016. So ACA was already in place.
Yeah.
How could they not cover you?
They decided to cover me until I really needed it.
Oh, okay.
I think Obamacare was great.
Yeah. So, and this is part of what Andy and I talked about on our Medicare for All thing was insurance companies don't make money by paying claims, and they're a for-profit industry. So whether you dress it up as Romney Care, ACA, whatever, when you leave that component at the center of it, the for-profit industry that actually has no positive outcome on health treatment, on health outcomes, or any of these things, you're going to have that situation. So why do you think members of Congress don't seem to understand this, regardless of where they fall on the aisle, independent, Republican, Democrat? Why do they not get this?
So they definitely do understand it. The issue is that they're all bought by the health insurance companies. So they're paid not.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Andy, you just said it, the donor class. So Dave weighs in and he says, maybe we should tell them, and I'm assuming Democrats, maybe we should tell them terrible ideas so they might do good things. And then Mike says, why do we need to beg for crumbs? And he offers so they can laugh and feed their ego. I kind of feel like that's right. So we've got the donors on one side, and then do you remember the outrage when we were pushing back on the squad during that force the vote thing? And they were just like, oh my God, how dare you? I am a member of Congress, not understanding that they are an employee for their constituents.
Which,
Right.
yeah. And I think that's a valid point. And whether you're on the side that pro or for or against force to vote, a lot of the trepidation that was felt during that entire time could have easily been alleviated by at least one member of the squad explaining to their constituents what they were thinking, what they thought was the path forward, right? Whether you agreed with it or not, instead of just guessing why this wasn't happening, right?
Right. So what are you getting out of New York? Because now, correct me if I'm wrong, AOC is not a member of your district.
She's not.
Okay, so who is your rep? Call them out.
I actually don't remember my rep because I moved.
Oh, you moved. Okay. All right. Well, you're going to go look it up after the show. But so across New York now, so we have this situation where you have pandemic still raging on. You guys are gearing up for, I think it is the third wave. You're still trying to push kids back into schools. Are vaccinations happening? What's going on? So in this context, you have a couple of your reps who are not in favor of Medicare for all, or have just been kind of standoff wishy-washy. So what's the tenor? What are people saying? What are your reps saying? Or is it all Cuomo all day, every day?
So yeah, most reps are not in favor of Medicare for all. The district I live in now, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be in favor of Medicare for all because he's a right-wing Democrat. No, actually in my district, it was a Republican that won the seat. It was a Republican that won the seat in my district.
Are you in Manhattan? Holy shit, how did that happen?
I live in South Brooklyn, so it's like an upper class white neighborhood. So
gotcha. Oh, damn those white people. What the hell? Okay. So all right. Well, that I guess that makes sense. That I've got mine, screw you kind of mentality, right?
Isn't that the American mindset?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite of the Three Musketeers.
Mm-hmm.
All for me and me for nobody.
Yeah, it really is. And that is, whether you're on the left or the right, when we talk about the performative, the Beckys, the latte liberals, that's exactly what we're talking about. So in New York, I'm just a little shocked, but yeah, I can see that. Wow. So, all right, we're coming up on the top of the hour, Dre. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, but it's yours. What would you like to talk about? What do you want people to know? What's going on with your channel? What are some upcoming things that you're going to talk about? And why should people tune in?
So, well, what's going on? Wait, what's the first question you asked again?
I know there was like 8 or 9 of them in there. Can you ask them one at a time, please?
Okay, again, too much caffeine already this morning, so I apologize. So let me try this again. You're right, that was awful. So Dre, what's coming up for your channel, and what kind of topics can people look forward to if they tune in? And they should be tuning in. So
the next video that's on my channel that I'm going to discuss is Joe Biden firing his staffers for marijuana use while Kamala Harris gets to stay, even though she smoked marijuana and listened to Tupac. The reason why you should tune into my channel is because I'm gonna try to be as objective as I possibly can. I'm not gonna cover the news stories the same way the mainstream media cover it, because I'm not bought. I'm doing this because I absolutely love telling people what the news is as objectively as I can without any money behind it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you do take contributions and donations, though?
Yes, from the average person, but not from any corporations.
So publicly funded, yeah.
Are you saying that you sent your George Soros check back?
I rejected it completely.
Wow. Wrote
That's
void across it. Wow.
Brave.
Look at you.
Brave. Awesome. So yeah, so I did post a link to your channel on YouTube. If people will go out and like, subscribe, and you have plenty of comments and audience engagement in your channel as well. So I think I applaud you for that, because not a lot of people will address those kind of comments, but you do. So I think that's really good for community building and an interaction there. So anything else you want to leave us with this morning that you think people need to know about you and your channel?
Well, the only thing I'd like to leave you with is we only have one life to live, really. So try to live it as best you can, as healthy as you can. And visit my channel. I'll keep you informed as best as I could.
Thank you, Dre. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you putting up with my caffeine-induced interview this morning. And we just love having you on here, love your commentary. And please stay safe while you're traipsing around New York. And I hope everybody in New York, man, stay safe, take care of each other.
Are they still doing mandatory masks in the state of New York?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good.
Good.
That's
Wear a
important.
mask. Absolutely. So thank you, Dre. I hope you have a good weekend, and we look forward to seeing more great things come out of your good work. So
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
I really the video you did on capitalism. I'm missing the word.
Oh, late stage capitalism.
Yes, late stage capitalism. That was an amazing.
Say it again, because your mic cut out.
Yeah, stage capitalism was absolutely amazing. I learned so much that I didn't know. Like, I didn't really know that there was a large working homeless population.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will cover many more stories like that, because I think when you step back and look at the big picture and where we really are, it's pretty telling. So thank you.
Exactly. And if it isn't main independent media that's covering it, then it doesn't get covered, sadly.
Exactly right. So if you're tuning in and watching this, go out and support Dre. Go out and support, pick your favorite independent media source, because this is how we not only level the playing field, but push back on corporate propaganda. And you would be shocked at how quickly we can achieve this. So just that's my plea. If we're not your station, although you're watching, weird, but if we're not your station, pick one that you really like and go out and check Dre's channel and support him. So this is how we make these changes, and you vote with your dollars, and something as little as $1 can actually help make a difference. So,
and it's very important to subscribe as well if you're on YouTube, because the algorithms are killing us right now. And I've seen a number of different indies over the last few days that these staggering numbers are coming out that are showing that some different indies have dropped anywhere from 80 to 40% of new subscribers or words out there. So they're making it hard on us. So all we've got to do is keep strong and keep doing it. And we rely on new people. So if you could spread the word, subscribe, that helps us, because it's really the only tool we have.
Yep, that's exactly right. So thank you. Dre, you have a good weekend. Thank you so much. And we'd love to have you back.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Dre.
Andy, top of the hour. Let's get out of here. Let's get the weekend started. Any last thoughts that we should take with us? Your words of wisdom?
No.
All right, that's it. The weekend has begun.
No, I got to go outside and see how my new glass collection is coming.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have had a very busy week, and we look forward to some things coming up next week. I hope to have the Tahoe's water protectors back next week. But if there's a topic that you would like us to cover, maybe something that you think isn't quite right, or you saw it in corporate news and you'd like to know more about it, just drop us a line. We will definitely research a lot of those topics. And then for today, Rome Bethia, he was our guest on Wednesday. Today is his event in Detroit. So if you have family or friends in or around the Detroit area, go to our Facebook page or go to our Twitter, and you will see all the information about this amazing event that Rome has got going on and organized for the community in Detroit. Community building at its finest. Start local, build with your neighbors, and he is actually living that message. So that is today, and it starts at 3 p.m. local time, so that's Central, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's free clothing and supplies for anybody who is in need, particularly those without a home, and it's also free food for everyone who attends and joins. So get out there, tell your friends and family, let them know. All that information is on our Twitter or on our it's on our Facebook and also on our website. So that is today. Make sure that you go out and support that effort. So
Absolutely.
right. So from all of us here, thank you so much for tuning in to Hair of the Dog on DLF, and we'll see you on Monday.
Absolutely. Keep your mask on and keep your eyes open and enjoy your weekend. See you Monday. Take care.
We bout that, ayy. We in the zone. We out here, yeah. Spitting the facts, how it's supposed to be. Hair of the dog.